So hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope you all are doing well. So this video would be regarding top 25 SQL interview questions that are mostly repeated in previous years. So if you have attended any SQL related job or SQL developer job or any software development job where the interview might be regarding SQL, technical interview might be regarding SQL. So the most 25 questions that are repeated, that are asked and that would be asked in future, so I would be covering those 25 questions in this particular video. So stay tuned till the end. We would be discussing each questions with the proper question and answers. So this video is mainly regarding top 25 SQL interview question with answers. Apart from this, we will be also discussing the main syllabus of SQL. So if you are preparing for any interview related to structure query language or a technical interview related to SQL, so the main syllabus that you would be covering, you should cover. We would be seeing that as well. So moving on to the complete SQL syllabus, if you are a beginner and if you have to excel till advanced, so this is a complete guide and syllabus from beginner to advanced. So make sure you watch this video till the end, where I would be discussing all the interview question and answers and the main syllabus that you should cover in any SQL technical interview. So the first one would be introduction to SQL. So basically you have to understand the main thing and the reason behind what is SQL. You have to cover types of databases. You should know RDBMS, which stands for Relational Database Management System, and versus NoSQL. You have to get the details and knowledge related to this. Apart from this, popular SQL databases like MySQL, etc. You have to study all these SQL. These are some of the popular SQL databases apart from MySQL. Then the second one would be basics of SQL. You should be familiar related to the type of databases that are used in the industries, and I would be covering with a marker. Just a moment. Yeah. So we have covered introduction to the SQL. You have to complete in this what is SQL, types of databases, and some of the different popular SQL databases that are used in industries. Apart from this, you have to understand the basics of SQL, like what is meant by database, what are tables, rows, and columns. These are the common questions that the interviewer can ask you. Then SQL syntaxes versus different clauses. These are some of the keywords like select, from, where, group by, having, etc. What is the use of these keywords in writing SQL queries? So in any technical interview, they might also ask you to write SQL queries where you have to write these keywords you have to include in your queries. So understand the basic keywords, the functionalities, and the uses of each keyword. Then moving on to the third one, that is filtering and functions. So if you have to filter and using some of the functions, so these are some of the functions that can be used in SQL queries, like logical operators. You have to cover logical operators, different comparison operators in between, like is, null. Then some of the aggregate functions like count, sum, average, min, max. Then in string you have to cover upper, lower, concat, substring. Then in data, now, etc. You have to cover all these details. Then these are some of the things that the query would be getting familiar if you use these keywords and operators in your queries. Then the output would be generated as per your convenience and need. Apart from this, the fourth one would be you have to cover grouping and aggregation also, where what is the use of group by, having versus where. You have to understand these keywords, having and where. Then combining aggregation functions plus grouping. Then the fifth one would be joins. This is the most important thing that you should cover. So joins is the basically where every candidate fails to answer the questions related to joins. So if an interviewer gives you a query, write a SQL query related to this, where you have to include some of the joins like inner join. You should understand what is meant by inner join. When can we use inner join? When can we use left join? When can we use right join? When can we use full join? So everything you should understand. Then apart from this, there are also cross join and self join. Then in subqueries and nested queries, You should cover single row and multi-row subqueries, then in exist and not exist, then correlated subqueries. In set operations, cover union versus union all, then intersect and except. Then in data modulation, you can cover insert, update, delete, truncate and replace functions, keywords. Then in ninth, table and schema design management, where you have to know how to create table, when can we use data types, and some of the constraints of primary key, foreign key, unique, check, default, alter table, drop table and rename. Then you should understand the main reason behind indexing and optimization. How can you optimize a query quicker with the help of some of the optimization techniques. Then views, sorted procedures and triggers. Then cover at the last transaction and ACID properties. ACID properties is the main important thing asked in each interview. ACID stands for automaticity, consistency, isolation and durability. Understand the each detail, what is commit, what is rollback. Understand the definitions, apply the real life logic and implementation. So at the last, practice SQL questions on lead code and hacker rank. Apart from this sample database, you can also check. So this was the complete SQL syllabus guide where you can cover all these details if you are preparing for any interview or a technical test. So we would be covering now top 25 SQL interview questions that are mostly repeated in each interview. So stay tuned till the end. Just a moment. Yeah, we would be starting top 25 interview SQL questions that are mostly repeated. So let's begin with the very first question. So first of all, SQL stands for Structured Query Language. If you don't know, then the first one would be in the SQL. The first question that is mostly asked in each interview and that can be asked in your next interview as well. So make a note of this. So what are different types of SQL commands? So basically, what are different types of SQL commands? So SQL commands can be categorized into four main types. The SQL commands which are DDL, DML, DQL and DCL. So each one has each definition and each commands has their each operations done. So if the question is asked regarding SQL commands, what are different types of SQL commands, you can explain the different types of SQL commands and the details and all the definitions that are required. So basically there are the four SQL commands that are important: DDL, DML and DQL and DCL. So the very first thing, DDL. DDL stands for data definition language. Data definition language is a DDL is a command for defining and managing database structures. Then DML is data manipulation language command for working with data. Then third one is DQL. DQL stands for data query language command for retrieving the data. Basically this is used for retrieving. And DCL command, data control language command for managing access and permissions. So these are the four types of different types of commands used in SQL. If the question asked what are the different types of SQL commands, then you can answer. There are basically categorized into the four main types. The SQL commands are DDL, DML, DQL and DCL. DDL is mainly used for managing database structures. DML is mainly used, this is the command mainly used for working with the data, and DQL is a command which is basically used for retrieving the data, and DCL is used for managing access and permissions. So moving on to the next second question. What are primary SQL data types? So SQL data types include numeric, string, data, time and boolean. Each type is used to store different kinds of data. So SQL data types are basically divided into four categories. The first one is numeric, then second is date time, third is string and fourth one is boolean. Then what is the purpose of SQL select statement? Then you can answer the best answers. These are the best answers for the particular questions that I have presented over here. So we would be discussing in total 25 SQL interview questions which are mostly repeated and asked in every interview. This would act as a source of revision for you if someone is also preparing for SQL developer role or any SQL interview. So it would act as a great source of revision if you are revising this video. So these are the most important questions. This might be get repeated and asked you in the upcoming interview of your SQL. So watch the video till the end. So the third question is, what is the purpose of SQL select statement? So the select statement is used to retrieve data from one or more tables in a database. It basically allows you to specify which columns and rows you want to retrieve. This is the short answer for the particular question. Moving on to the fourth one, what are different types of joins in SQL? This is the most important question. Make a note of this. And just a moment, yeah. This is the star question, star question. What are different types of SQL joins in different types of joins in SQL? So basically you can answer it with very simple logic and examples. So the different types of SQL joins are, the first one would be the inner join, second one would be the left join, third one would be the right join, and the fourth one would be the full outer join, and the next cross join, and the last self join. So these are the in total there are 6 joins. Basically the first one is inner join. Inner join is basically used to returns matching rows from both the tables. The left join is basically used to return all rows from left table and matching rows from right. And the right join basically used to return all rows from the right table and matching rows from the left. Full outer join returns all rows from both the tables, while cross outer join or cross join returns all possible combination of rows from both the tables. At the last, self join is basically used to join a table with itself, often for hierarchical data. So the fifth question is, explain difference between inner join and outer join. So inner join returns only the rows that have matching values in both the tables, while outer join returns all rows from both tables and fills in missing values with null. So you can check the diagram, you can draw this diagram, you can explain the interview with the help of the diagrams, flowcharts. However, whatever you feel would be the great, then you can explain. So what is the difference between inner join and outer join? So you can draw the diagram related to inner join. The yellow color indicates the inner join, while the blue color indicates the outer join. Then moving on to the sixth one, define primary key and foreign key in SQL. So these are the terms. So you should also understand what is meant by primary key and what is meant by foreign key. So we will be moving on to the definition first. So the primary key is the concept, a primary key in a database. So basically we have a database. In each database we have columns and rows, and in each columns and rows we have data. So that particular data has one of the unique value. That unique value is called primary key. So a primary key is nothing but is a unique identifier for each row in a table, ensuring no duplicates and no null values in its column. So basically the main thing behind primary key is you can also identify the primary key in any database. So if you have a database of table which consists of rows and columns, so in that rows and columns you have something data underlined. So that underlined data is primary key. So that primary key is basically is a unique identifier for each row in each table, ensuring no duplicates and no null values in its column. So that thing is called primary key, while the foreign key concept might be different. So basically a foreign key links a column in one table to the primary key column in another table, so enforcing data integrity and creating relationship between the tables. So you can understand the details by reading the definitions. It's very simple and easy. So if you want, you can also take the screenshot of this. If you want this complete PDF, comment down SQL. I would be definitely pasting the link of this complete PDF of the Google Drive in the description box. For that you just need to comment SQL. So we have understood what is primary key, what's foreign key. So in summary, primary key uniquely identifies rows within a table, while a foreign key establishes relationship between tables by linking to primary key in other table. So moving on to the seventh question, what is difference between a subquery and a join? So a subquery is nothing. It is a query nested inside another query. So if you have a particular query, inside that query you have another one query. So that is called the nested query. or a subquery. So a subquery is a query. Have you heard, if you have studied a C programming or any programming language, I think you must be knowing or heard about the nested loop. So what the nested loop does? A loop inside loop, that is called nested loop. So the same is a subquery. A query inside query is called subquery. A subquery is a query nested inside another query, while a join combines data from multiple tables into a single result set. Subqueries are often used to retrieve data for a specific condition. Moving on to the eighth one, this is the most important question asked in each interviews. So make a note of this or take a screenshot of this as well. So you should be knowing what is acid properties, where we use this is a star question. Mark this as IMP or important. So explain acid properties in context of database transactions. Basically, ACID stands for atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. These properties ensure database transactions are reliable and maintain data integrity. So you can explain more, go and research about acid properties if you want, but you can also explain the simple definition if asked in interview. And apart from this, the ninth question, moving on to the ninth question, what is the difference between group by and having clauses in SQL? So a group by is nothing. A group by is basically a keyword which is used to group rows that have same values into summary rows, while having is used to filter grouped rows based on specific condition. So these are the two keywords. One is group by and second one is having. So they have asked what is difference between group by and having clauses in SQL. These are the two clauses. So group by condition or clause is used to group rows that have same values into summary rows, while having is used to filter grouped rows based on specific condition. The 10th question is what is subquery and how is it different from a join? So basically a subquery is nothing but it is a query embedded within another query. We have discussed it previous. So it returns mainly a single value or a set of values to be used by outer query. Joins combine rows from two or more tables based on related column. I think you must very understand with the help of the simple definition that is mentioned over here. So basically what is subquery? A query inside query, and how is it different from join? So the answer is given here. So this is the query which you can check with the help of the diagram shown here. So this is the parent query which is pointing, and inside that query we have another query that is called subquery. So this subquery is inner query. So moving on to the 11th question, define SQL order of execution. So in any SQL query, if you know the table and database which consists of rows and columns, so for each database we have to generate a query. So the order of execution of these SQL statements you can check. The first one would be the from clause, then joins which combines data. The first one would be the from clause, identifies table views. Where clause is basically used to filter rows. Group by clause is used to group rows. Having clause is used to filter group data, and select clause is used to choose columns. Distinct is used to eliminate duplicates, while order by clause is used to sort rows. So limit, offset or fetch first computed columns, windows functions, and rows limits. Aggregate functions, union, intersect, except. So these are some of the another thing you can check, but this is the order of execution of SQL statements from where, group by, having, and select. Then the next question is what is the difference between union and union all in SQL? So you should understand the main difference between union and union all. So the main difference between union and union all is union basically removes duplicate rows from the result, while union all includes all rows even if they are duplicates. So this is the main difference between union and union all. How can you optimize a slow running SQL query? So you can basically optimize a query by creating indexes, minimizing the use of wildcards in where clause, and ensuring that tables are properly normalized. And the next question is 14th one. Explain the purpose of SQL case statement. So why we use SQL case statement? So the main reason behind using an SQL case statement is the case statement allows you to basically perform conditional logics in SQL queries similar to an if-else statement in another programming language. The fifth one is what is a self-join and when we use it. So we have previously discussed in the previous page of different types of joins, which were left join, right join, inner join, outer join, full join, and last one was the self join. So a self join is a query in which a table is joined with itself. It is mainly useful when you need to retrieve related data from the same table, such as hierarchical data. So moving on to the 16th one, what is purpose of the SQL limit clause? So the limit clause is used to restrict the number of rows written by a query which is mainly useful for pagination or retrieving a specific subset of data. What are window functions and different types of windows functions in SQL? So you can read these as well. What is the difference between windows functions? What are different types of window function in SQL? You can read all this. If you want this PDF, I would be pasting the link of the PDF complete in the description box. Apart from this, if you feel that this question is important or not, wherever I am putting a star mark, you can take a screenshot of that question as well. So moving on to the 17th question. 17th question has been discussed, and if you want, you can read. So this is the SQL query. For example, you can check written over here. So these are some of the questions related to the previous one, where aggregate functions are used like sum, average, and as window function. You can read the more information related to window function as well. Then moving on to the next one, difference between rank, dense rank, and row number. So this is important. Take a screenshot of this star question. Rank and dense rank assign same rank to tied row but differ in whether they leave gaps between ranks, while row number assigns a unique rank to each row without regard to ties. So this is given. Which one to use depends on specific requirements. If you want to leave gaps in ranks for tied values and have consecutive rank numbers, use rank. While if you want to design a consecutive rank numbers without gaps, use dense rank. If you need a unique rank for each row regardless of ties, use row number. So these are the main uses of row number. We have discussed row number, rank, and dense rank. So how can you calculate the total number of rows in a table without using a count function? So this is the answer for that question. You can use select statement with the top or limit clause to retrieve the first row and order by clause to order the result. Then use the row number of the last row to determine the total number of rows. So how can you find the second highest or nth highest value in a column? So you can use subqueries for Windows function. You can use subqueries or Windows function to find second highest for nth highest value in a column. Then what is the purpose of between operator in SQL? This is the 21 question. The main reason behind using a between operator is used to filter results within a specified range of values. This is the main use of between operator in SQL. Then what is normalization in SQL and why it's important? So basically, you should know what is normalization. There are different types of normalization like 1NF, 2NF, 3NF, 4NF, and last BCNF. So normalization is the process of organizing data in a database to reduce data redundancy and improve data integrity. This is the main reason why we use normalization, and there are different types of normalization like 1NF, 2NF, 3NF, and 4NF. difference between delete, truncate and drop. So the main definition behind these statements is, so what is the main difference between delete, truncate and drop? So delete is used to selectively remove specific rows from a table based on condition and can be rolled back, while truncate is used to quickly remove all rows from a table without deleting the table structure and it cannot be rolled back, while drop is mainly used to delete an entire database object, table, weave, index and is also irreversible. So drop is mainly irreversible and delete is mainly used to select specific rows or remove specific rows from a table based on condition, and truncate is used to quickly remove all rows from a table without deleting table structure. Moving on to the 24 question, how do you handle null values in SQL queries? So use functions like isNull or isNotNull to check for null values and handle them appropriately in your queries. Then 25 question, this is the last question we are discussing. What are aggregate function in SQL? This is the most important question. Take a note of this or take a screenshot. Star 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 question. So what are aggregate functions in SQL? So this is a simple question to the answer. Simple answer to the question given. Aggregate functions perform calculation on a set of values and return single value. Some of the common example of aggregate function are count, sum, average, max, min. So we use count, we use sum, we use average, we use max and min in a query. These are called aggregate function in SQL. So these were the 25 questions that we have discussed, all the SQL question and answers. So yeah, if you have any queries or facing any difficulties, comment below, or if you want this complete PDF of 25 questions, so comment SQL. I would be definitely pasting the link after getting the comments of #SQL. So all the best and we will meet in the next video.